Hi Tim, welcome. It's Country Culture. This is the second episode we managed to record on Zoom, and I'd like to first give a shout out to St John the Baptist in Burford for letting me use their buildings, because my Wi-Fi, being on a farm, is pretty hopeless, and yeah, I'm grateful for them here. But today we're going to be chatting through, well, so obviously it says underneath your name you're from the Vegan Society. We're going to chat through your Grow Green project. So I mean, I'll let you explain most of it, but it's essentially tackling climate change, ideas towards what we can do in the future, how food production you believe food production needs to change, and your suggestions for how we transition and the barriers to overcoming that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on your podcast, Elliot. It's a pleasure to you and your listeners. So I'll start with a bit of an overview. Campaigns and policy officer at the Vegan Society, and I work on a campaign called Grow Green. As you just said, that's around it's around the environment and the impact of farming and food production on the environment. Our view is that we should be moving in the direction of and transitioning towards an entirely plant-based system, so one which doesn't rely on the use of animals in food production. So we think there's a number of benefits to this, but some key ones are around using our land resources in the best way possible in order to respond to climate change. So that means reducing the direct emissions from agriculture, but also the opportunity involved in land use change and managing land differently to sequester more carbon, and the benefits that could have for nature recovery. So there's also an important part of the Grow Green campaign that's about plant proteins and the opportunity to get more high protein crops into the UK farming system. So more pulses and beans in rotation, and more nut trees as well. So a kind of way of encouraging farmers to start catering for a plant-based market in the UK, which is currently a bit over-dependent on imports. So yeah, that's kind of the overview of Grow Green, and yeah.
Yeah, I know. I tell you what, I think one of the problems I find with, because I went vegan actually for a week, and I was supposed to go for a month, but I didn't make it because I don't know if you found it, but I found maybe it was just because I was freshly transitioning or trying out. But I got so hungry by the end of the week. I seemed to eat about twice as much as I would do normally. I ate a lot of lentils and peas, I think it was. But still, for some reason, at the end, I had to have an egg. I just had to. I mean, I stayed vegetarian until the end of the month, but I had to go onto an egg. I mean, I don't know if that's, for me, that'd be one of the problems of going through the pulse diet. I don't know if you have any tips. It would be good if I could come around and get a vegan snack, but yeah, unfortunately, Zoom doesn't work so well.
I think I think that's not something I experienced, and it's not something that I've heard is a particularly common experience. I guess one way to address that would just be to ensure you're getting enough protein from various other sources, as well as calories and stuff. So I think as long as you're hitting those calories, as long as you're getting all the proteins that you need, there's absolutely no reason you should be feeling hungry. Hitting your calorific content for the day. But I think, obviously any major transition in your diet, any major change to your diet, it can have those, it can have effects on the way you feel. So I think it's important to get good advice. So get some good advice on nutrition if you're thinking about going vegan. And we've got some great resources on our website, and we've got on-staff dietitians as well. So if anyone's considering it or has already tried it but has concerns over diet and how they're feeling, we've got some really good nutritional resources there.
Yeah, I think for me, that would be important. As I say, I mean, it's more, and also I would never seem to have the ideas. I mean, that week, as I say, it was mostly, I went for like curries every day. It was like, a different type of curry every day. But then after, if I'd kept it up for the month, instead of going vegetarian, I think I would have ran out of curry ideas by week 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the things about it. And I think one of the things I think that a lot of people find when transitioning to veganism is it does force them to look at a wider variety of different cuisines, because obviously the traditional British meal is with a kind of meat and 2 veg scenario is you don't always just want to be replicating that with a vegan version. There are, of course, good kind of, there's vegan alternatives to animal products that can fit into that sort of meal. But I think to get a really rich vegan diet, it's a really good idea to explore different cuisines from around the world. East Asian cuisine is really good for vegan food. So Chinese curries and Thai, that sort of thing. Things that naturally have a range of plant proteins in them and have historically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a challenge. And I think my diet certainly improved going vegan because it forced me to learn to cook, essentially, and learn to cook a wider variety of things. So, yeah.
I mean, I tried obviously being locked down, I tried my own vegetable garden this year. So I got a bit bored of pumpkin soup by the end of it, but I mean, it was mostly vegan, I think. I mean, I used to make soup every day, but yeah, I had like about 33 pumpkins by the end of it. And
Yeah.
there's only so much pumpkin soup you can really bear on a on a daily basis. But actually
Yeah,
also, so India, I thought actually you were talking about the cuisine there. That's why I went for the curries, because isn't most of India the vegetarian? Certainly, I mean, or vegan. Or am I got that wrong? That could just be me getting something completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yes, because there's such a variety of cultural and religious traditions in India, some of which are vegan and vegetarian. So obviously there's a variety of different beliefs, but certainly within Hinduism there's a strain of veganism and vegetarianism. And yeah, obviously Buddhism, some forms of Buddhism as well. So yeah, that's common there, and also it's part of the world where I think in some places where historically meat hadn't been available to people, so people were traditionally cooked with other things, and in Indian cuisine you've got chickpeas are really common, aren't they, and things like that.
Yeah.
Your pulses that we can grow in the UK, which are really important which are really great for diets, super healthy. So there's a lot of research to suggest that actually eating more legumes across Europe could reduce mortality rates. And they're really high fiber, they're really high protein, and low fat. So they're a really great source of food. And we have historically produced them in the UK. So fava beans are something that we've eaten here for thousands of years. Of other pulses. But unfortunately, they've kind of dropped out of our kind of day-to-day national diet. So I think,
do you know any reasons for that? I mean, when you say they've dropped out, probably a fairly long time. I don't know over what time period, but
I think never dropped out entirely, but I think probably historically, when you've got a country's increasing wealth, the trajectory tends to be that they consume more meat, or has been historically. And I think as people had access to cheaper animal products, the plant-based protein sources kind of dropped out of our.
So do you think it's cultural or financial? Because you say when they get wealthier, they tend to eat more meat. Is that just because it's cultural or?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's cultural and financial. It's access to meat and a cultural idea that eating meat is a sign of
wealth,
prosperity, essentially. Yeah. So I think there's something to that. But reintroducing these foods. So there's great companies like Hodmedod's. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a company. It means hedgehog in Old English, I think. They're working with a load of farmers to get some of these old varieties and also some new varieties back into our diet. So producing like organic pulses with a load of farmers. So you can order stuff from them if you want to try out some kind of pulses. Fava bean stew is one of my winter warmers favorites.
Yeah, is it in slow cooker? I love the slow cooker in the winter.
Yeah, you can do it in a slow cooker. Yeah, or just a crock pot in the oven.